Because one of the things that you mentioned was feeling suicidal, right? Like when we talk about depression, that's often associated with it. And it's kind of like what you're going into now. Like, how did you know that you were really depressed? Like those signs of not taking care of yourself gave you that sense of like, I'm not okay, right? You're already thinking it in your head, but you know what I mean?
When everything around you is crumbling and it seems like you're the linchpin to everything, you often think that if everything doesn't go right or if everything doesn't happen correctly, it is because you dropped something.
But scripture tells us to walk by faith and not by sight, right? So we manage our anxiety by walking in faith, right? Like regardless of what's around us, I am exercising my faith. So yes, there is anxiety that exists. There is fear that exists, but my faith trumps that anxiety. So now I have that extra boost to help get me through something. Yo, what's going on again? It's your boy, Joe Blue. I want to welcome you out to another episode of the Black Men Embracing Feelings podcast. So yeah, man, I'm humbled to share this opportunity, to share the space with this man, and hopefully, prayerfully, the things that I discussed and that I said here is insights to the conversations, truthfully, that we have with each other. Because iron sharpens iron, man. I confide in this man a lot, and we share, right? It's not just a take type of friendship relationship. It is give and take. So prayerfully, some things I said, man, as we go through this. But I'm gonna pass it over to him. His name is Gregory Alexander. S stands for Shaka.
My name is Gregory Alexander. Well, Gregory S. Alexander, as my brother already said. I am the founder, I guess, and CEO of Shaka Creative, photography, videography company. So you need to hit me up. Let me know, Shaka Creative .co. Shockcreative.co. You can hit up the website, or you can follow me on Instagram at Shock Creative LLC on IG. Yeah, man. We've been friends for 16 years. He claims I was the annoying little brother that never went away. That's his narrative. I allow and see. We really connected off of both loving God and trying to navigate our college experience while loving God on campus. That was very liberal. That was very eccentric. That anything goes. And so I was just trying, right. So trying to find that line of balance and, combining each other about things we were going through and how we can navigate these spaces and not completely lose ourselves to the wilds of the world. Sometimes we ran in willingly.
But thank God we made it up.
No, man, I truly love this man. Appreciate him. There are moments in life where you really understand who is for you and who will fight alongside you. It's frustrating when you're fighting and then people who you thought would fight with you are watching you. But it's been great to have a Blue around because you always know that Blue's gonna fight with you. He's not gonna watch you punch a brick wall and make your knuckles bleed, right? He'll hand you the tool to be like, hey, we can get this done this way. And we don't have to continue doing this thing and torturing ourselves. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm a Black man and do embrace some feelings. We're going to roll with it. We're going to see how much contribution I can really contribute.
The reason why I asked this man to be on is just because, again, like our friendship is deep, it's rooted, it's grounded. Not only just in our faith, being on campus. College was fun. You know what I mean? It's all the vices, all the activities, right? All that was on there. So the solid thing in our friendship is the level of accountability, right?
Yeah.
And then also too on that, it's like, yes, you got so many things around you, but your foundation is key. And our foundation that we connected most with is with God, right? Just our faith, belief in Christ. And we stumbled, things like that. We're not perfect, but that's one of the things that we didn't allow ourselves to slip in. You know what I mean? When I seen myself going too far to the left or the right, Greg was definitely in there to remind me of who I am and vice versa. And just wanted to share that in regards to Black Men Embracing Feelings for this podcast, because faith is important, right? When we talk about mental health, right? When we talk about those types of topics, incorporating religion in that, incorporating faith in that is not often associated. It's not often together. It's like oil and water. It's like, how can this mix? And we often hear too, it's like, I don't need therapy. I got it. Right. Or Christ is my therapist. Right. Just pray about it. Go to church. I
I'm a
mean,
prayed away.
yeah, I'm
Pray
afraid
away
away. Yeah.
this
And
depression.
but the reality is, man, is that those two things actually do go together. Right. Those things actually do go together. And so we kind of just wanted to dive in just to that topic of just faith, spirituality, and mental health. And how those aspects are important. But yeah, one of the things I wanted to ask you, Greg, and again, it's just diving into some of the conversations that we talk about. Like, have you ever, you know what I mean, experienced a battle between your mental health and your spirituality? And I say that in the sense of we often ask this questions like, why? Right? Why God? Like, why this? Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to struggle through that? Right? I'm trying to maintain my sanity, but I need you to take me off that toughest soldier list and you saying that God trust me with this, like, 'cause I can't handle it. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of going through this. And then there's points where it's just like, you know what? F it, man. Like, it's so much easier to do X, Y, and Z than to try to live Christ like, stay in the church, be spiritual. When mentally we're just battling and going through just various struggles in life. So I just ask you, like, have you ever experienced anything where it had those experiences where it's tough to, manage your mental health and stay faithful and spiritual at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I can say, probably one of the biggest challenges that I faced with balancing my faith and my mental stability was probably, about 2 years after I graduated, from Syracuse. I came to live with my mom, and the situation happened where we got evicted from the apartment like a few months into me being back. Started working, and my mom ended up moving, but I didn't want to leave New York. I just started a job. Just got I'm like, all right, now I'm getting a little settled here. Let me start making headway. So I did move. And so, move, you don't have a place to stay, you end up homeless. And so, you know, um, and during that time, I was confused about everything, right? There's so much back inner stories to the story that I'm telling, but confused about the eviction, confused about how things accelerated so quickly, confused about a lot of things, and confused about my mother's health and well-being, because not only did we get evicted, but at the time she was having this mysterious illness that no one could figure out. And so that was happening, and simultaneously I was attending my church. Shout out to Hope City Church. That's the Baptist church in Brooklyn. Pound for pound. I don't care what nobody say. We love the people, and we love on the people, and the community knows that we are there. Now, one of the churches that you pass by on the block, you're like, oh, that's a church. No, the people know that Hope City Church is in the community. So yeah, you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube. Little ad.
Yeah, if you need to search the almost all that, go for it.
Hey, if you're in New York, man, come through. We have a campus out in Baldwin, Long Island. We have a campus there at 685 Brooklyn Avenue, Baldwin, New York. And then we have a campus at 369 New Lots Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, which is on the corner of New Lots and Pennsylvania. If you're from Brooklyn, you know that corner. Church is still right there on that corner. That service starts at 11:10, and the earliest service at Baldwin starts at 8:30. So if you're an early bird, hit up the Baldwin, Long Island campus. You're at Queens, Long Island area, and then if you're in Brooklyn, Queens, any of the surrounding boroughs, you come through to East New York, and we start at 11:10 and have a great time in the world, I promise. So I was with my church, and something, I don't remember all the details sometimes, so like I'll just go through it quickly, but like was a new member essentially, and going through all this, and I took a break from ministry, and I was like struggling with, like, God, why did you do this? What did I do to yeah, let me fix that. It wasn't God, why did you? It was like, God, what did I do that caused all of this. It was more so like I didn't blame God at first. At first, I was like, "Oh my God, look what I've done," because I did something wrong. My mom got sick. We got addicted. I can't. I'm not serving in the same capacity at my church.
See,
Things
that
are different
everything
now.
you was involved in, so you took all of that on yourself. Like you asserted yourself and everything. Like I have to.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
if this doesn't
Right.
work out, it's because
Everything.
I did something.
Yeah, everything was because of me putting my hand on it, right? So everything I was associated with was like it was all in my hands. So I was literally taking blood that didn't belong to me and putting it on my hands and say I did the crime. Like I was literally like, hey, it's me. I'm the one who committed this atrocity that caused this effect, this domino effect, just knock all the other things over.
That's crazy. That's a lot of pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. I mean, you recent college grad, your first you deal with the pressures of getting the job and making it, right? And then I'm in New York City.
Right.
So it's like you really gotta get to it. And it was just like, man, like I'm working and then I didn't have a place to go for a while. It was a few months actually. And then but God in his infinite wisdom always does that thing, it's sort of like a guardrail, right? That doesn't let me go over that he never lets me get quite to the edge. Right. Like I'll be close, but it's always that thing that blocks me off from going completely over the edge. And in all of that, my mother's mysterious illness, not having a place to stay, not really having a secure job, I was like mentally exhausted. I was depressed. I had thoughts of killing myself. I wanted to harm myself. I had moments in which I thought like, and because I thought it was my fault, I thought the solution will be to remove myself from the situation.
That was heavy, no?
Yeah. I mean, you know, like when everything around you is crumbling and it seems like you're the linchpin to everything. And that's the problem, right? Most of your life, people who are always the one who's looked to or the one who's like the glue or the one who's trying right, the strong front, right? You often weighted with the burden of other people, right? So when that burden comes on your shoulder, you often think that if everything doesn't go right or if everything doesn't happen correctly, it is because you dropped something,
right?
And that's not the case, right? Like some of you can be free right now. That is not the case. You are not the orchestrator of every single thing that involves your life. Sometimes things just happen, right? Like sometimes the will of someone else can collide with with your will. And sometimes their will to do something stupid can impact your life as well. And it's not blame God or blame this or blame that or whatever. And so I had those thoughts and I was still going to church, but I went to church as if everybody could see that I was the one that messed up.
So you was walking around guilty.
Yeah, like I was walking around with this guilt.
Yeah.
You could have, I didn't, and I don't know why the dramatics was in full effect, right? Didn't shave. I didn't cut my hair.
Because I was going to ask you, like, how did you even know? Because some of the things you mentioned was feeling suicidal, right? Like when we talk about depression, that's often associated with it. And it's kind of like what you're going into now. Like, how did you know that you were really depressed? Like those signs of not taking care of yourself gave you that sense of like, I'm not okay, right? You're already thinking it in your head, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, I dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts when I was about 16. And I was in this group called the Respect Project, and the thing that, which was like my first introduction to quote unquote therapy, right? Because there we were able to be creative and release those things. Like we would be able to write about our experiences of going to school in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and surviving that environment. We'd be able to write about we would be able to write songs about it, sing songs about it, dance about it, spoken word about it, create scenes, and we were able to perform. And just most therapeutic part about it was that once you kind of let it touch the air, once you kind of release that thing and you let it, and you just said what it was versus trying to mask it and make it something that it wasn't, it was a great release.
Right.
And so there were times where like I felt like I was going through so much at home, or I wasn't. My biggest issue long ago was I felt like I was never seen in my proper light.
Okay.
And so like I would always say people just don't understand me.
Right.
That would always be my clutch, right? That would always be my you guys they don't understand me. Like I'm and it wasn't that my view of myself was wrong. It was that I wasn't displaying who I was. I wasn't displaying who I was or who I communicated to myself who I was. I was displaying someone who was more like a people pleaser. So I morphed whatever group I was in to kind of go along with that. And so that they cause really the person at 16 in high school, everybody, they doing this, they doing that, and you just kind of not involved in most of that stuff. And so that was my first experience with it. And I was like, I would take the train home and had thoughts about jumping in the train tracks and all that stuff. And then, but I was able to, which I didn't know at the time was therapeutic, right? I was just doing it because I thought I was just doing what I need to do. Instead of jumping, instead of like going through those things, started writing what I was feeling.
Right.
And then it turned into a monologue, and then one turned into a song, and then I was able to perform it. And then, now you can performing those things made me able to relive the moment without over emotionalizing it, like repeating, like doing the, like I didn't cry anymore when I talked about it. Like I didn't, like it was
more comfortable. Like
right. That little did I know that was like the beginning to like sharing my testimony, right? Like overcoming this thing and sharing it as a teenager was so impactful. Like I would go to schools to perform and people would be like, yo, like I felt the same thing. Like I wanted to suicide. People was calling my uniform. People was doing this. People jumped me out of school, whatever. And I wanted to do the same thing you did. And thank you for sharing that. And I was like, oh, this is real. Like people go through it. I go, so I'm not the only one. I'm not that special.
And that's the thing too, right? We're just like you were saying, your whole thing was not being understood, contributed to a lot of that internal conflict of how you present, how you feel like you're being perceived. And that creative expression was an opportunity for you to present yourself authentically and be vulnerable so that people can really see you at your core and not just the you that they want to see or the you that's useful to them. Like, so that creative expression was your opportunity to tap into who you are, you know what I mean? As well as, face those depressive thoughts or those moments or those real life scenarios that you was going through every day. And they say like, find the beauty in the struggle, you know what I mean? But it's just like finding beauty in your story, like being one with your story, your narrative, embracing it and owning it and not allowing your experiences to defeat you. You know what I mean? Because that's essentially what depression does, right? It's like it just piles on top of you and further buries you into what you're experiencing. But this is you finding a way to allow that dirt to be the foundation for something to be planted from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
And that's solid, man. That's easier said than done, I can imagine, though.
Yeah, because I mean, I was 16, again, I'm not trying to say that like I figured out a solution. Then I did not know that I was actively finding a solution to my problem. I didn't know I was in the solution while I was there. I thought I was just doing what I was doing. How they always say like, oh, artists create the best music when they're sad or depressed. Like I want Mary J. Blige to be upset because No More Drama was the one, right? Like, so like it's always, and I used to adapt that thing. Like, oh, maybe I need I need to be sad. Maybe this is why I'm sad because I need to, but hey, anyway, you're good to bring it back. So I dealt with depression when I was younger. Now as an adult, not really an adult, right? I'm like 23, so I'm still a kid, right? Right? Still a kid, right? And now that I think about it, I was still a kid.
Yeah, yeah,
But like you go, so I was homeless for a period and dealing with the weight of being homeless, the weight of not having a job, the weight of the illness of my mom, and trying to figure out what's next. And I tried to sneak out of service again, and my pastor's standing at the door. He's like, I bump into him, and I drop. I used to carry a duffel bag with me, and what fell out my duffel bag was my toothbrush, a washcloth, some bar of soap. And he was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "No, I'm just going to my friend's house for just blah, blah, blah." And he grabbed me by the arm, and he said, "Son, I love you." And I was like, "What is this talking about?" And I was like, "All right, I'm out of here." Oh, I was like, "Oh no, for me." And black men naturally, when see the calling son,
right,
who does he think he is? You're not my dad. You're not my father. So all these thoughts, everything but the "I love you" stood out to me.
yeah,
Right? Who do you think you're talking to? Why you grab me?
right,
I don't play like that.
right,
Bruh, I don't even know you like that. I just started
right,
coming here. Like,
yeah,
but nothing that was important stood out. Right?
yeah.
It's like, dang, they almost caught me.
But that's the crazy thing because you're in a position, inserts, holding the things, you know what I mean, that you feel, guilty about, shame about, trying to hide it. And there is an opportunity, to tell or ask or seek, right? But then that, I guess that shame attached to it is just like, I can't allow this to be revealed to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I went from singing with the worship team to not singing with the worship team to being in the congregation to hiding from the rest of the congregation
Right.
to now not having a place to stay.
Right.
And my mom
while you're serving in the church.
And I'm still coming to service. And I don't want nobody to see me like this. This is not again, the identity thing comes back now, right? Like it's like it things you don't deal. I strongly believe that new things don't come up, right? It's the thing that you dealt with at the lowest level when you're younger. It reappears differently and maybe look different, but at the core, it's still that same thing that you have to deal with. And then whatever next level you reach, it is that same thing, but now it just looks different. Right. And at the core of it, it is that same issue of feeling like I'm not being seen as who I am. I can't display this version of me because this is not the best version of me. So it was very much an identity struggle. The same issue that I experienced at 16 with the identity and not knowing who I am and not feeling like I'm representing the best part of myself shows up again at this 23, right? And it's not that it is the same exact presentation, but now it's different, right? Like it's a larger scale. And as you grow and as you get older, as you think you deal with these things, that core issue shows up again, but this time it manifests itself differently. It might come off in relationships, different relationships and different types of relationship. It might come off in the dynamic of how you feel you're viewed by, mass set of people, or, how you're viewed by your inner circle. I was going through that in high school with people who it didn't matter to. Now I'm at 23 and I feel like how the people see me does matter. And there's some implication to how they see me. And now I'm the pressure. Now I'm going through that same kind of pressure. So it's the same identity struggle at its core.
Right.
But now it's at a higher level, and now it has way more implication because now I'm saying I'm attaching to it because I messed up in life. My mom was sick. I'm homeless. I'm not have a stable job, and I can't really be at my church like that because people are going to see this side of me, and I don't want them to see this. I want to present the best version of me. And again, I had that encounter with my pastor, dismissed all of it. All I heard was authority.
Right.
Nah, I don't know you
Right.
like that, bro.
Right.
I left, and my church had opened up. It's so random, not random. God's timing is God's timing, right?
Mhm.
My church had opened a program. Now I don't believe they opened it then, but I do believe they like relaunched counseling, and I was like, should I go to that?
Right.
I was like, I don't. I'm like, I never had anything against therapy, but again, it was like, oh, like, should I go to that? Like, no one was talking about it. Her therapy
Yeah.
wasn't a hot button, hot
It's not.
topic. It wasn't a
Right.
like, it wasn't like the thing that gets all the clicks. It wasn't really discussed like that. And we didn't
Right.
have the level of access at social media at that time to where, wow, that was 10 years ago too. So that technology sped up.
Yeah.
But
We talking about like 2014 type
yeah.
time, right? 2014, 2015. Oh, no,
Yeah.
yeah, nobody was talking about mental health at that point as much as we are now, I'll put it that
Right,
way.
as prevalent as it is now
Yeah.
and as socially acceptable as it is now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but my church was like ahead of the curve, and they were like, "Hey, listen, we're partnering with this nonprofit. We're offering our members free therapy sessions." And I said,
Yeah.
"Okay, it was free. Well, and I'm already struggling, and no one's
Right.
around.
Right.
Right, I'm by myself. Right, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I may stay by a friend one night, stay at my job, and that's my
Hmm.
try to go to family members for a week or so, like,
Hmm.
like figuring life out. And
Right.
I was like, well, if in this place and I have reached the end of myself,
Hmm.
what is there? What am I?
What's the loop?
I have no, right.
Yeah.
What is the real, like, I feel like I lost everything already.
Right. Right.
So I can't lose anything else. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go, and therapy was horrible. Yeah, I thought I was going to say it was the solution. It was the worst experience of my
Real.
life. I had a
Mhm.
therapist that was the same. He wasn't the same age as me. He was only like 4 or 5 years older than me. But I'm not
Mhm.
like age shaming or anything.
Mhm.
The man was impressed with me.
Mm.
And he was like, I told him what was going on. He was like, wow, that's incredible.
Like your story is incredible. Like what you.
Yeah, like what I was like. So what I just told y'all, he's
Yeah.
listening to, and he's like, "Wow, you're just like going, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have no choice."
Right.
And he's
Right.
like, "Wow, that's really good." And I was like, "What's the part where you write things down?" But and no discredit to any people, but I did learn. That's when I learned the difference between a social worker providing you with certain services versus a therapist providing you with services.
Mhm.
And in no fault of his own, like maybe he's never heard a story like mine. Maybe some of the things that I described and depicted in my childhood, he just couldn't see how someone would bounce back from. And so
Yeah.
I had about 3 or 4 sessions with him, and I tried my best, and I said,
Mhm.
no mas.
Which is the like not all therapists, right, are meant for you, right?
No,
Because it's about relationships. It's about relationships. I've had my share to where and I tell my clients all the time, man. It's just like if we work, cool. If we don't, let me know. I'm committed to the therapeutic process. Right? There's no hard feelings, no love lost. As long as you get the help that you need. If it's not from me, like I'm okay with that. Right? Because I don't
right,
want to stunt your growth or try to play Superman in your life and I'm doing more damage than I'm doing good. So I've had clients that's just like, you're not. Like this is not a match. And I appreciate it and I'd rather that happen, you know what I mean? So that you can get the things that you need. And what I do want to call out though is that you didn't give up on the therapeutic process, even though you gave up on or you dismissed or removed yourself from the therapist,
yeah, I
you
was
still was
in that situation.
committed to the therapeutic process, though understanding the importance that you needed to talk to someone.
Right,
You needed to get help.
right, and I was like, nah, this dude ain't it. I was like, y'all got any more back there? And they were like, what's the matter? I was like, no, I don't think like I said, I don't feel like I'm being helped.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm being watched. And
Mhm.
again, that's my issue. So you're
Right,
not like, don't be impressed with me. I
right,
need you to look at me like I'm not impressive so that
right,
you can tell me something. I don't want to impress you. Like, I'm not here to impress you. I'm like, here's the raw story, bam, in your face. And they're like, wow. And I'm like, no. So it turned me off completely. But I did try to find another one, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that when you were talking about the therapy part, because it made me like, again, like bridging the gap between like therapy and not the church, but therapy and God. Because the church is something different, right?
Right.
It's still like,
That's
right,
the conversation.
right. The church is something different, but God, bridging the gap between therapy and God, I think that is one of the things that I loved about being at my church. And like, I would invite people to my church and be like, hey, come to my church, come to my church, come to my church. I would literally try to recruit every single person I went to undergrad with to come to my church. It worked for the most part, honestly. Like, you know, like, it's just,
I love through it was dope.
it was good. It was a good time, right? I found a group where Blue didn't even live in New York. Like, that's how like I was like, that's how bad I was doing. Like, I was like, yo, but like therapy, like, you know, not every church is a match for your assignment, right? And every pastor can't be your voice, right? You have your voice who you're supposed to follow, and like that's that, right? You can like, and every therapist is not going to be the voice that gets to speak into your life, right? So like, it just, the way especially the church does the therapy is funny to me, because it's like, it's mirroring the help we get in the church. Like, the church is supposed to be the place for sick people, the hospital where people come to get healed. So if someone's sick around you, you're not surprised. Someone's doing something wrong, if something's falling in sin, if something's happening in church,
Right.
I'm not shocked, because it's like, I'm in a place where people come to get help.
Right.
But
It's not a place for judgment, because we all got something.
We all got something. We
Right.
kind of perverted it to be to be a place where people see it as a social club. So now everybody who's here thinks they're perfect. Well, everybody who's there is perfect and is infallible, and everything they're doing is above board. And so now there's no correction, there's no accountability, there's no one thing. And coincidentally, the world has turned therapy into that too, right? Like, I go to therapy, so I'm above reproach. I don't need any help from anyone. No one can tell me anything. Me and my therapist, that's it. Like, do you go to therapy? Oh, well, I can't speak to you. What? Like, what? Like, it is crazy. Like, and guys, we didn't practice this. Like, this is like just like little shit to like, dawned on me, like the mirroring of how we've turned these things that are supposed to be helpful in nature to kind of show that we're better than people.
Yeah, we all have flaws, and I tell people too. Like, the reason why you're in therapy is because people around you don't go to therapy, right? If we all just acknowledge that there's something that, essentially, I don't want to say fix, because therapy is not a place to be fixed, because you're not broken in that sense, right? But we all have different flaws, we all have different vices, we all have different weak points, and therapy is simply just maintenance. Right, like therapy is that place that you have a safe space to talk through things, and the church, it's a similar space. It is to be a safe haven. You know what I mean? To be restored, refilled, rejuvenated, as well as corrected, as well as challenged, right? So that you can live that fruitful life and that life of purpose that you were designed to live. But like you're saying, we wear it with a badge of honor. It's like, oh, I go to church, I'm holier than thou. It's like, nah, bro, it's not the case. Like, oh, I go to therapy. Like, oh, you know, I'm
more conscious than you. I'm more self-aware than you are now.
Nah, it's not.
Like, it's like,
It's not. It's ambiguous.
Right. And see, I think the marriage of the two works so well, because therapy will humble you, and God will humble you, right? You know, like, you know, there's this, I can be in church and I could think that such and such and such and such, and then someone can sit next to me. God can literally have someone come next to me who can be worth X amount of dollars, blah 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 blah. I don't think my joint don't stink, and I'm like, yeah, blah blah blah. And I have to turn to me and go, hey, can you help? I'm like, I don't even know you, bro. Like, I'm trying to get my worship on, not knowing that the real worship in that moment, or the real act of of your Christianity or the real exercise of your faith and
Mhm.
your duty was to turn to that person to help them.
It is
Right.
scripture says that you are known to be my disciples by how you love one another.
I mean, yeah.
Right? It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? And in regards to how you take care of your widows, you know what I mean, and the orphans, for example, not by how much money you got or your status or anything like that.
Right.
It's just
Or if
that
you sit in the front row.
right. Or you got your assigned seat. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
this where you get walked in. Um yeah, it's a space that and this is where it gets with therapy and spirituality because it's just like I'm a believer. I shouldn't struggle. Right.
Yeah.
I'm a believer and I should have this, right? I know my word. I pray about this. Everything should go this way. Or I'm in therapy, but why am I still struggling? I'm in
Yeah.
therapy. This is not working. I need a new therapist or fix me or help me.
Right.
Right. And I seen a post online, which I agree with, what it was a lady speaking to, like in this day and age, as therapy is becoming more noticed and popular. I'm gonna use the word popular.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says, "Oh, self-care, right? Boundaries, or just cut people out your life." It's like, no, we have to go through challenges to grow. Just because you're a believer,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that you won't struggle, right? And encounter hardships. And just because you go to therapy doesn't mean that you have all of the tools to no longer feel anxious, to no longer feel depressed. All that therapy is meant to do is provide you with the tools to better manage and cope,
Right.
but not to escape and run from. Right. And that's where we get conflicted of why am I still struggling? Because struggling is a part of life.
Right.
Right. But how can we manage it better? Well, we will go through hardships. And that's where spirituality and mental health can come together because prayer is a form of self-care, coping, right? Ways to ease our anxiety, ways to ease our depression, right? Our faith, right? Because anxiousness is one of those things where we're afraid of the unknown. And that's why we're anxious. But scripture tells us to walk by faith and not by sight, right? So we manage our anxiety by walking in faith, right? Like regardless of what's around us, I am exercising my faith. So yes, there is anxiety that exists. There is fear that exists, but my faith trumps that anxiety. So now I have that extra boost to help get me through some things. Right. So when those that say that, oh, you just need Jesus, yes, you can have Jesus in the therapist, right? Because scripture says, be anxious for nothing. Anxiety won't be in scripture if it's
Right.
not something that we would experience.
Right.
Right. So it's we shouldn't look to try to separate the two, but how can we leverage our faith to assist with the emotions, that are real to the human experience?
Because everything isn't a demon, right? Like you're everything isn't a spirit or everything isn't a demon, right? You can't cast out.
Doubling make you do everything.
Right. You can't cast, and that's the thing. We get so caught up in the over spiritualization of things where we're just like, we're not, let's call a thing what it is. This is depression. Okay. Yes. Is it a spirit of depression? Yes. There could be a spirit of depression. Right. But we have to now be responsible in how we identify them and what we think is the solution. Right. Yeah. Yes. We pray. Yes. We're going to read our word and find and combat what it is that we're feeling. Right. Like you acknowledge, okay, I am depressed, but in Jesus' name, by his stripes, I'm healed, right? I'm healed of this depression, right? You call that thing out and you say what it is, but you allow your faith to still stand in the face of whatever fact that is now, whatever condition you're currently in. And therapy helps you navigate that, and your faith is supposed to fill in the gaps. The Holy Spirit will be there to comfort you. He's your comforter. So now you have your tools, you have the thing in front of you, but you also have your God, right? Like it's like, so it's not you have God, your tools, and the thing in front of you.
Right.
You have the thing in front of you, your tools, and then you have your God. And I think we often like misconstrue that regardless of what the thing is in front of us, God is still bigger than that. But it's going to require work on our part. Like it's not
Right.
therapy is, to me, is the exercising of your faith, right? It's the way that we get to actively engage our faith. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Here's the
Right.
works that I'm doing to show that I know that God can and he will help me get out of this because I'm actively using the tools that he placed in the earth to get the help that I need. Where instead of us looking at it as, oh, okay, prayer is the only tool. Prayer is not the only tool. It's the foundation. It's the foundational tool. We're going to start here first. But there are things that we can reach. There are things that we can grab onto. There are things that we can definitely add to our kit that can help us. That can help us really, really get some healing. And not that you're broken, because I know I've had conversations with friends like, oh, I'm not broken. I don't need to go to church because they say it's a place for broken people. Well, no, it's not necessarily broken. It's just that you're not broken, right? You're not a broken thing, but there's something missing, right? There's something missing that you can't account for, and that once you encounter it, you leave that, and once you encounter it and you leave, you know what's missing. Like you feel it, like it's a tangible thing.
They can just acknowledgement of it though. Not everybody's willing to acknowledge that thing that's missing is also that part that they have to take accountability for and own and work on. Right? It's like we ask for these types of blessings, but then we get mad because we can't keep it. Right? So it's just like, how do we continue to work on the things of ourselves that we can be more accountable, that we can manage our finances better, so that we can manage our emotions better? Understanding is that when we're tempted through our emotions, we're tempted through our feelings, right? I have this urge, I have this desire, right? How do I hold myself accountable? Yes, I'm praying that God would take this away. Like, say, for example, if it is alcohol, right? I have this desire to drink constantly, and it's impacting my family. It's ruining my family. I'm praying that God takes the sickness away. I'm praying that God takes the taste of alcohol away, or sex addiction away, or whatever it is, right? So what are we going to do about it? How are we going to manage our emotions, manage our triggers, understand what influences us to even have these urges and desires, right? And does it even go back to our past traumas that contribute to these urges or these desires? Right. But if we're not willing to do that work, we can pray to God all we want for him to take things away. But he's giving us the tools in order for us to do the work that's necessary. I think T.D. Jakes mentioned, he was like, if you want to see, God's not going to give you a chair, but he's going to give you wood.
Right.
Right. He's going to give you the tools so that you can build. And he's going to give you the skill set so that you can build. And it goes back to, you know what I mean, looking at Moses, for example. He's like, yo, what's in your hand?
Right.
Use that.
Right.
Use that. Like
you're praying to God for furniture, and he's already supplied the earth with enough wood and supplies for you to get that thing. And instead of praying to God for furniture, you should be praying for the power, the ability to acquire these things. And we're praying to miss, right? So like now it's like, okay, God, I'm praying for a couch. What does that mean? Right? Let's think about, I'm praying for a couch. What does that mean? Right? Like, God, I'm praying for resources that allow me to position myself to where I can buy the couch that I desire. That's different. In the book of James is so like dope because you can start in the book of James. Like, it's a great place to start. And even if you're just opening the Bible for the first time, you just read. Like, for me, that looks like the picture of therapy. Right? Like the biblical version of therapy: confess your trespasses one to another and pray for one another that you may be healed. And this is why, no shade to any other therapist, I think what you guys do are incredible work. But I cannot go to a therapist who is not a Christian, because now you're giving me advice based off of what the world has shown you is reasonable versus what you have what's the authority, right? Like if you're the measuring stick, then the goalpost can move at any moment. If you're the final authority off of what this looks like or healing, then it can move. But I know that God is constant. He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So now I have a consistent measuring stick here. And so he says, pray for one another so that you may be healed. Confess your trespasses to one another so that they can be healing. So the healing doesn't come from saying, God, I'm feeling depressed. That's not what it said. It said, pray for one another that you may be healed for one another. So there has to be someone I can confide in. There has to be a place where someone can walk me through what I'm going through with a specific set of tools that can allow me to see what my issues are. And so that I can use those two and the healing can begin. So that's why we need the marriage of the therapy. We need of therapy and God, because it's like without God and only therapy, there's no standard. I'm not a therapist, you guys, so can't feel offended. I don't care. Okay, well, you say
but to say it is valid,
right? Because I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. So if there's no God in therapy, there's no standard for me. Because we're going off of your experience and your bias on which the life you lived and what you learned. And if there's no emotional stability and it's just churchiness, then you just have an obsession. It's weird. Like you're just getting tantalized by you're having these emotional outbreaks and you're getting tantalized by emotional fixes every Sunday. And you get your hit, you get your hit, you get your hit, you get your hit, and you come back and do something all over again. There needs to be some balance, right? There needs to be accountability. There needs to be some kind of structure. So the authority is God. That's it. God is authority. Here are some tools that I'm getting from therapy to now help me do the work of healing. And God being the authority of it, I can still pray, God, by your stripes, I know I am healed, because that's what your word says.
right?
And your word also says, but confess your trespasses once and those so that you can have healing. So now I know that I can not only, confess to you, talk to someone about it, and I'm doing everything I can. I'm again, like I go back to what I said earlier, I'm activating my faith here. Therapy and godly wisdom is going to lead to active healing. Therapy and godly wisdom is the thing that is going to help you grow. It's the thing that's going to help you heal. It's the thing that's going to help you overcome. And I know, like, even you as a therapist and a Christian, having clients, I mean, and I like, even like talking to you now, like, I wonder, like, when that comes up, like, what is not even when it comes up, because it's going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be there. When the client isn't aligned with your authority, but you're going to help them. You have to help them. How do you navigate holding true to your true authority, but using the tools and the wisdom and the science that you were taught and the knowledge of what you have to assist people through things? Because I had a non-Christian therapist, and I said, they told me like a therapist told me, like, okay, well, if you just feel like this relationship was a transactional sexual thing, then you can, as long as you're fine with how you're doing, you can do it. And I'm like, oh, and that's what I realized. Like, oh, wait, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate that space? It's funny, guys, this is just a personal conversation. I always wanted to ask him this, and this is like the appropriate time to ask him now.
I mean, the therapy room is not it's not about me. It's the client. It's meeting the client where they're at. Right. But also understanding, because like when you mentioned authority, right, it's also understanding that as therapists, you do hold power, but being mindful of being careful of how you utilize that power, because they are coming to you and trusting in you that you will help. And I tell clients, like, I'm hopping in the vehicle with you. I'm not driving this. It's not my vehicle. I'm just here to assist and guide you in the direction that you see is best fit for you in your life, right? And your standards and your values. But I'm not going to let you go off the cliff, right? I'm not going to let you continue to hit the guardrail, right? When we can straighten out the wheel and go on a different path. So when I connect with those that aren't Christian, right, I meet them where they are, right? Like what you're looking for, what you are coming to therapy for, it doesn't require me necessarily to be biblical with you because I'm not here to impose my beliefs or anything like that. This space is for you, right? So there's a time and place for everything. If I'm working with a client that does believe in Christianity, right, and those biblical principles are valuable to them, then I'll incorporate that. Then we can talk in that language, right? Then we can talk in that space, and I can utilize those things. But yeah, I don't impose, right, my personal beliefs or anything like that because that's not what it's about. That's not what the therapy space is about. It's really about allowing the clients that come to have that safe space to present themselves fully, and for me to exercise that discipline to be able to meet them where they are, attend to their needs, and help them navigate their daily life struggles to be the best that they can be. So if there are clients that have a faith background, I utilize that. If there are clients that have a faith background or backgrounds that I may not personally be aligned with, I still guide them in the areas that are for them, right? Because the space is for them. But if there's areas where I just can't, I don't align, it's against my moral code, my values, and things like that, then I can refer out. So it does come down to just my personal ability to professionally navigate things without allowing my personal thoughts and beliefs come into the space because space is not about me. But I will always pray and ask God to guide me, help guide my clients in the direction that is best for them, right? In the space that's for them. You know what I mean?
So you steward that space in order to make them feel that their needs are being met, but also not compromise who you are. That's a lot.
Because there's still, I look at it as these are still God's children. We are still God's children.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I'm not here to judge, right? That's not in the position that I'm in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not even looking at anyone that I may agree with or not agree with as, oh yeah, they're going there. It's no point. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not even coming in with that type of lens, right? So I'm here to shine the light that has been given to me and be a good steward over the profession I've been blessed to be in. That's all I can do. And what those do outside, and even what I do outside, right? That's outside of the therapy space. That's outside of my profession. So I don't let that cloud my judgment. I don't let that interfere, conflict, unless there's other things that's just like, yeah, we're just not a match, right? We're just not a match because what you're looking for is something that I'm not able to provide you with. Or I don't even have that expertise or tools or resources. Even if I've tried to do that, I'm just not. There's others that's better suited. So I'd rather not do you any harm in trying to do. And I'll just have to refer you out, right? But for your best interest.
So you never impose your belief, but God informs your decision making on how you go about dealing with them, dealing with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Because people could get right. Because like you said it like I don't bring that in because the space is for them. But I want people to understand that it's not. The space is for them, but I am being informed with the tools that I have, the learning that I have, and I'm also praying to God to make all that come together so that I can provide the best space for them. Because people can, right, yeah. and that's.
Yeah, I don't take my hat off because I'm in a space where someone doesn't agree with my personal beliefs. But at the same time, like he's still my source. He guides me through. Bro, I promise you, man, it's sessions that I've had where I'm just like, I don't have no idea where this came from. Right. But it is a word, and it's a healing word, or session or space that was meant for you. Right. And oftentimes I do think about it's like, will we even get along outside of this? I don't know. Me as a person, I'm just easygoing. right? I'm easygoing. But like, yeah, my source is always it's always him, right?
Right.
I always have to arrest myself and be a representation of him. Do I always carry that in any walk? Not perfect, right? But
No,
I
yeah.
do, yeah, I do look to always tap into my faith because I wouldn't be here without that. And that's just saying too, just wanted to circle back, like you strongly believe that it's hard for you to have a therapy session with a therapist that's not a Christian. And for those that's listening, right, like finding a therapist again is like finding a dating partner, right, that you're looking to be open, vulnerable with, and share things with. So finding a therapist that has a background and values, you know what I mean, that's aligned to yours is important. You know,
I just want to say that me saying that, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but I just want to say me saying that is a privilege, right? 'Cause I have really good insurance. So like that is a no, like all
Yeah.
jokes aside, like that is a privilege because the free like there are people who have to take free services or services that only that their insurance may be limited to provide for them, or they have to pay out of pocket. And what they're able to afford as a tool to help them may not be the necessary thing that can help them. And I can say because I can honestly say I've seen 5 different therapists, 5, and until I landed on the one that stuck. Until I landed on the one that said, okay, this is the person. And my therapist is a Black man. Like this is the person that can lead me through this space. Not only because they've probably walked similar things culturally, but I know that your answers to me will be informed by not only your teaching and tutelage, but again, at that core, your decision making of how you're going to go about speaking to me or what examples you use to get me to understand where I need to be in terms of whatever tools I need to use to get to use some emotional correction. We're going to come from a biblical base, or it's going to come with some sort of acknowledgement of God. And that's important to me. But again, it's important to me, and I have the ability to do that.
right.
So I'm not saying don't do it. This is just my preference because over the years I know the difference from me and how I respond to them.